News coming out today, July 5th, 2025, as today we are hearing that the United States has held a secret meeting that would bring and broker peace and safety to the world, starting with the Middle East. Now, I'm going to share with you the latest headlines, video footage, articles coming out on this today, July 5th, 2025, so you can see it for yourself. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that we're going to be able to bring peace to all regions of the world through brokering some sort of agreement? A peace accord. We're hearing this is going to be starting with the Abraham Accords right here, right now in 2025. Let me know your thoughts. If you think there will be peace, put peace. If you think no, and you're still skeptical of Iran and some of the other nations and their opposition to the United States and Israel, put war. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, but take a look at the latest headlines so you can see it for yourself. Coming out today, actually first reported yesterday, July 4th, Trump meets with the Saudi defense minister in secret meetings, de-escalation reported and discussed. Also, take a look at this headline right here. Peace can be achieved in the Middle East by committing to Abraham's legacy, rejecting terror opinions. And you can see the subtitle right here says Jews, Muslims, Christians committed to Abraham's legacy can and must come together and discard the sacrilegious methods and goals championed by the Iranian regime, saying, regardless of the religion, we need to go ahead and unify and have peace among us here on earth. Stop with the rhetoric of war. Let me know your thoughts. I'm seeing war pouring into the comments. People are not convinced, but we will see. I will keep you up to date. Take a look at more headlines just coming out. This is a rabbi that they're saying is behind the Abraham Accords that are being reestablished right now. Trump, key to Israel-Syria peace. And though, take a look. Let me know. Are you skeptical of this? We're hearing just coming out today, 2 U.S. aid workers injured in a Hamas-led Gaza terror attack at a food distribution center. You can see this coming out today, July 5th, 2025. So I'm going to dive into the video footage, the articles, so you can see it for yourself. The latest coming out today. Yesterday, we saw Donald Trump sign into law that big, beautiful bill. If you missed my coverage on it just the day before, be sure to take a look at that. There's a lot of things that are going to be impacting the United States economy. Seniors, they're saying that this is essentially him making good on no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, almost. They're saying about 90% of the people that collect Social Security, you're not going to have to pay tax on your Social Security. And there's a whole lot of benefits in there, child tax credits, an assortment of different things. I cover it in detail in that live stream. And now we're hearing 24 hours later, now there are talks of secret meetings to bring peace to the Middle East, new revived Abraham Accords, and peace and safety to start being shared around the world. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I see people pouring in war. I see people saying, God bless the peacemakers. Someone else is saying wars and rumors of peace. Trina is saying, don't be deceived. Let me know your thoughts. Now, let's go ahead and dive right in, get you caught up on the latest so that way you can see it for yourself. Like I said, let's start off with some video footage on the coverage of these secret meetings that are supposed to bring peace to the Middle East. But before we do me a favor. If you appreciate the updates, before we dive in, don't forget to take a quick second, hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further across the YouTube platform so more people can get the latest updated information. I appreciate it a ton. And as always, I cite all the sources. They're hyperlinked in the description. So you can click these articles, go read them for yourself, see the dates, the sources. I cite them, put them on the screen, read right from them, so that way you can see the dates, the sources, and know and rest assured this is the latest information as of today, July 5th, 2025. And if you want to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll keep you up to speed on everything so that way you know exactly what's taking place around the world and in the United States, everything that you might want to know for you and your family. But let's go ahead and dive right in, get you caught up in the latest so that way you can see it for yourself.
President Trump hosting the Saudi defense minister at the White House before traveling to Iowa last night. The two were working to de-escalate tensions with Iran, end the war in Gaza, and potentially extend the Abraham Accords. Sources say there is progress and optimism on all fronts as President Trump keeps up the push for peace in the Middle East. Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin is at the Pentagon with this story. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Rich. Fox News broke the news yesterday of that secret meeting between President Trump and the Saudi defense minister, which comes just days before Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is slated to meet with the president at the White House. Multiple sources told Bret Baier that the Saudi defense minister, Prince Khalid bin Salman, KBS, who's the younger brother of the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, secretly visited the White House Thursday and met with key officials, including President Trump, to discuss the opportunities right now to shift the paradigm in the Middle East in the wake of the U.S. strikes on Iran's key nuclear sites, a moment that they believe gives the president enormous leverage to reshape the Middle East. The discussions, which included Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and the president's Middle East envoy and top negotiator Steve Witkoff, included discussions about de-escalation with Iran, getting Iran to the negotiating table, ending the Gaza war, and negotiating the release of the remaining hostages, both those who are still alive and the dead. There are an estimated 20 hostages held by Hamas who are believed to be alive. The purpose of the visit was to create what was described as a peace footing in the Middle East. While there wasn't an exclusive focus on the possibility of normalization between the Saudi kingdom with Israel, the conversation, according to sources, dealt with the steps that need to happen vis-a-vis the Palestinians to get there. Remember, this was the same sentiment expressed by the Saudi kingdom ahead of the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7th, which had the support of Iran. Here's President Trump last night speaking about the shift in tone right now from Iran.
Then, of course, you cap it off with the hit, the perfect hit in Iran, where they were talking awfully badly, you know, death to America, death to Israel. They were talking awfully badly, and they're not talking badly anymore, to be honest with you. And we might even meet with them and see if they want to meet. They want to meet, and we'll see if we can do something. But they want to meet. I think they want to meet very badly.
According to multiple sources, there was progress and optimism on all fronts during the talks with the Saudi Crown Prince's brother. The Saudis are also finalizing a defense and trade deal with the U.S. The administration sees a window of opportunity right now in the Middle East.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think that there is going to be progress, peace in the Middle East, or do you think, no, you don't trust it? Put war in the comments. If you think there's going to be war, put peace. If you think there's going to be peace, and hit that like button if you haven't done so yet. Now, in addition to that, I'm going to play for you video footage coming out of the president as he speaks aboard Air Force One. You're going to be able to hear his full remarks as he discusses what is happening right now in the Middle East with the calls for peace and safety and to end all the conflict, to bring Abraham Accords revived once again. And also, I'm going to share with you just everything he has to say. This is about a 14-minute clip, and he's going to be covering a lot of different things. Also, the floods in Texas. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. You're going to be able to hear exactly what he had to say, unfiltered, from Air Force One. Let's take a look at this video footage just coming out 4 hours ago today.
Hello, everybody. So we had a good day. It was an amazing little party at the White House for lots of people, but just a great 4th of July. We have some busy things to do tomorrow. We have a pretty busy period of time. The economy is doing great. The country is doing amazing. It's on the right track. In fact, right track, wrong track came out, I guess, the first time in 28 years that they said we're on the right track. I don't know why it was so long, but we're doing very well. Anybody have any questions? Oh, that's terrible. The floods. It's shocking. They don't know the answer yet as to how many people, but it looks like some young people have died. Any federal aid for them? Oh yeah, good. We'll take care of it. We're working with the governor. We're working with the governor. It's a terrible thing.
What's your reaction to Hamas and the response to your peace proposal? They said they gave you a positive response.
They said they gave me a positive response?
Yes.
Well, that's good. I mean, I've heard that, but they haven't briefed me on it yet. I think they're going to be positive about it. We have to get it over with. Hamas we have to get it over with. We have to do something about Gaza. We've been doing it. You know, we're sending a lot of aid, a lot of money and a lot of aid. Otherwise, you have people in big, big trouble. But, yeah, I think it's been very positive, a good response. Yes, please.
Did you sign any letters for your training?
I did. I signed some letters. and they'll go out on Monday, probably 12. 12 different, different amounts of money, different amounts of tariffs, and somewhat different statements.
Mr. President, which countries will receive those letters on Monday?
You'll be announced. I have to announce it on Monday. I can't do it.
Mr. President, what do you want to hear from Prime Minister Netanyahu on Monday in your meeting?
Well, we're going to have a meeting on Iran, obviously. You know, the success, that was a great success. And blown to pieces, the whole nuclear thing. I would say it's set back permanently. If they were going to do it again, they might as well start in a different location, because that location is totally demolished. They could start, but I would think they'd have to start in a different location. But if they did start, there'd be a problem. We wouldn't allow that to happen.
Mr. President, follow up. Mr. President, Iran has not agreed to inspections. Iran has not agreed to inspections. Iran has not agreed to give up their nuclear enrichment. Is the ceasefire premature?
Well, you're saying they haven't agreed. Let's see what it is. They want to meet with me, so if they haven't agreed, then we're not going to have a very successful meeting.
Mr. President, are you still optimistic about a Gaza deal next week?
There could be a Gaza deal next week, yeah.
How optimistic are you?
I'm very optimistic, but, you know, look, it changes from day to day. It's been changing for years. It changed. As I came in, I inherited a very bad situation in many ways. Whether it's 25 million people coming in from prisons, jails, from mental institutions, from gangs. You know, it's or that or Gaza. You could say Gaza. You could say I inherited Iran. We did something about it. We've gotten a lot of hostages out, as you know, from Gaza, a lot. But unfortunately, you know, we came into that, we inherited that situation.
Mr. President, can you tell us about your call with Zelensky today on that
Yeah, we had a good call. We talked about different things, and we had a very good call. I think a very, very strategic call.
Are there plans to partner with Ukraine on munitions?
Well, we've been helping them, and we'll continue to help them. It's a pretty tough situation. We'll see what happens. I told you I was very unhappy with my call with President Putin, and it just seems like he wants to go all the way and just keep killing people. No good. It's not good. I wasn't happy with it.
Mr. President, are there any updates on the negotiations on the TikTok deal?
Yeah, we pretty much have a deal. Now we're going to go and ask. I think we're going to start Monday or Tuesday asking, talking to China, perhaps President Xi or one of his representatives. But we pretty much have a deal on TikTok.
And how confident
But
are
we
you
think we probably have to get it approved by China. Not definitely, but probably.
How confident are you that China will agree to that deal?
I'm not confident, but I think so. President Xi and I have a great relationship, and I think it's good for them. I think the deal is good for China, and it's good for us, and for us it's money. You know, we make a lot of money if the deal goes through.
Are you planning to visit President Xi? Are you planning to go to China?
Well, I was asked to go there, yeah. He asked me if I'd go, and he would likewise come here.
That soon?
We get along very well. We always have gotten along well.
President, Iran has said that they want to go to the UN and have the UN force the United States to finish the damages that were done by the UN. What is your response to that?
You're going to have to say that again because you're being blurred out.
That Iran wants to have the UN force the US to pay for the damages that were done by the strike that the US did.
I think it's pretty ridiculous, yeah. I would say maybe very ridiculous.
Can you tell us about
Go
your
ahead,
call?
please.
Mr. President, Putin has not agreed to a ceasefire. Do you think he's mocking you?
No, I don't think he is. I think he's worried about sanctions. I do think he's very worried about sanctions. And, you know, we're determining that the Senate, as you know, has put in big sanctions, very big sanctions.
Patriot missiles go into Ukraine?
Well, they need them for defense. I mean, I don't want to see people killed, and they're going to need them for defense. They're amazingly effective. You know, we knocked out 14 out of 14. That's pretty amazing. If you think of it, it's almost incredible. But we knocked out 14 out of 14, so they're going to need something because they're being hit pretty hard.
Are you going to send them, though? Are you going to send more?
Yeah, we might. We're looking at it.
On tariffs, Mr. President, why are they only coming into effect in August?
Well, I'd probably start them on August 1st. Well, that's pretty early, right? I mean, you know, because we're talking about, yeah, so when do you think they should come into effect? Sooner? I don't know how they could be sooner. We waited about a 90-day period. We probably had 90 days or so, and really much longer than that, because we've been looking at this for years. We've been looking at it. I've been looking at it for a long time. I can tell you every single country, and I can tell you every single deficit that we have and they have. I've been looking at it for many years, frankly, and I think it's ridiculous that countries were able to get away with so much. I had a great call with the German Chancellor. He's a strong guy, very good man, had a great victory. No, we did talk about it, though, and he feels, you know, they have to be protected. He's a strong guy and smart, very smart man.
Mr. President, are you confident that you'll be able to find an end to the fighting in Ukraine?
That's an interesting question. We have with India and with Pakistan and in Africa, as you know, with the Congo and Rwanda, Serbia, you know, Kosovo and so many others. We've found, we've helped Egypt with, as you know, their next door neighbor, where the water is being taken from the Nile.
So there you have it, you guys. So you heard him discuss some of the things that are going on right now in the Middle East, trying to bring peace over there, calls for safety and peace and to end the conflicts taking place over there with the wars, specifically concerning Iran. Now, do you think that Iran can be trusted in these deals, these Abraham Accords, these agreements that they are trying to put together? If you think Iran can be trusted, put yes. If you think no, put no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As a lot of people are saying, you know, Iran might say these things, but they can't be trusted to make these agreements and these deals. They might say that they're going to do peace and then just turn around and attack us. And there was actually warnings yesterday. I let a lot of people know about the lone wolf attack warnings that were coming out from the FBI here in the United States, letting us know that there are potentially Iranian attacks that could take place right here on our soil from Iran, from sleeper cell groups that have come, or inspired lone wolf attacks from individuals here in the U.S. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think they could initiate these here in the U.S.? Do you think that they might still try to do attacks? They might even get nuclear weapons from Russia, as Russia is saying that there are other nations that are adversaries of the United States that are lining up now to support and help Iran in bringing death to America and death to Israel. Let me know your thoughts. And I'm seeing no's pouring into the comments. People say no, Iran cannot be trusted. But we are hearing today that Trump is meeting with Saudi defense ministers in secret meetings, and articles coming out like this, that peace can be achieved in the Middle East by committing to the Abraham legacy, rejecting terror. Jews, Muslims, Christians, they are going to be committed to Abraham's legacy. If they are, they can and must come together and discard the sacrilegious methods and goals championed by the Iranian regime, which is war and attacks, and they're saying nuclear weapons. They're saying that they are trying to put an end to this. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article so that way you can see it for yourself here. And here you can see Trump, and you can see the president of Israel. You can also see here the other leaders as well in the Abraham Accords. Now, this article coming out yesterday says, when Israel's president Isaac Herzog addressed a joint session of the United States Congress on July 19, 2023, he brought along as a guest Leah Golden, a tireless advocate for her son Hadar. Lieutenant Hadar Golden, an Israeli soldier who had been killed 9 years earlier in Gaza following a UN-sponsored humanitarian ceasefire negotiated by the United States. His remains continue to be held hostage by Hamas. Of all the existential issues facing Israel, the president of Israel chose to highlight before Congress the plight of this one young man held hostage, underscoring the primacy Judaism and the state of Israel place on redeeming captives. He could hardly have known that less than 3 months later, Hadar would be joined in Gaza by 250 additional hostages from Israel, but his choice underscored the essential nature of the conflict between Israel and its enemies. In the 1970s, secular Palestinian terror groups such as the Black September and the excuse me, the article just jumped right down to the bottom and I lost my place. And the Popular Front from the Libertarian and Palestinians used hijacking and mass hostage taking as their tactics of choice. Iran's use of brutal tactics. The Revolutionary Islamic Republic of Iran then burst onto the world stage by co-opting these brutal tactics during the hostage crisis of November 1979, when 66 Americans, including diplomatic and other civilian personnel, were taken hostage at the Embassy of the United States in Tehran. Iran's terror regime soon moved from embracing the tactics of Palestinian terror groups to adopting their goals, focusing its resources on the destruction of Israel by increasing the capacity of Hamas, Hezbollah, Syria, and others to terrorize Israel from up close, and by building its own nuclear and ballistic missile capabilities to destroy it from afar. The line connecting the Palestinian hijackers to the Iranian hostage takers extends to the hostage crisis of October 7th, when Hamas, with Iranian funding, invaded southern Israel, murdered more than 1,000, and took 251 people captive, most of whom were civilians, including at least 12 U.S. citizens. And they're saying that they will go ahead and hit Israelis or U.S. individuals. In fact, I'm going to be sharing with you some video footage here shortly saying that today there were U.S. individuals that were hit in attack by Hamas, which again poses the question, can they be trusted in these ceasefires? Again, let me know your thoughts, yes or no, in the comments. Israel's enemies have taken hostages throughout history, we are hearing, and now they want to bring the Abraham Accords to try to bring peace to the Middle East. And this is an effort that is being led by Donald Trump as well. And also, we're hearing there are rabbis that are joining in. But again, can they be trusted? Let me know your thoughts. We're hearing 2 U.S. aid workers injured in a Hamas-led Gaza terror attack at a food distribution center. This article coming out today. It says 2 U.S. aid workers were wounded in a targeted terrorist attack by Hamas at a food distribution site Saturday morning in southern Gaza. The U.S. and Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation said 2 terrorists ran into a crowd of civilians at an aid center in Khan Younis and tossed Iranian-made grenades at the workers, who were highly decorated American veterans. Hamas has openly threatened GHF workers, put bounties on their heads, and murdered 12 of our Palestinian staff. Now, they've made good on those threats to target Americans, the relief organization claimed on X. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the video footage of this so that way you can see it for yourself coming out, as we are hearing that they have hit today. And then we're also going to be looking, because at the same time, while we're hearing that they are attacking Americans in Gaza that are trying to provide aid, we're also hearing that Hamas is saying that they are responding positively to a potential ceasefire. That's what we're hearing being reported right now, which again poses the question, can they be trusted? Let me know your thoughts. In fact, let's take a look at Hamas's response that they're saying is positive to the ceasefire first. Then let's take a look at the video footage of what unfolded today with those workers being attacked. Let's take a look so you can see it for yourself.
There are new hopes for a ceasefire in Gaza after Hamas claims it has a, quote, positive response to a proposal for a 60-day ceasefire with Israel in Gaza. Stephanie Bennett is live with the latest. Hello, Stephanie.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, well, the proposal, as well as the 60-day ceasefire, also includes the release of all the remaining hostages. Now, it was presented by President Donald Trump, who has been pushing this hard to make a deal, especially ahead of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to the White House next week.
I think they're going to be positive about it. We have to get it over with. Hamas we have to get it over with. We have to do something about Gaza. We've been doing it. You know, we're sending a lot of aid, a lot of money and a lot of aid.
And this morning, smoke was seen rising over Gaza. An Egyptian security official told Reuters that Egypt, who along with Qatar is mediating ceasefire efforts, had seen Hamas's response and said it includes positive signs that an agreement is near, but there are some demands from Hamas that need to be worked on. Changes reportedly include issues around humanitarian aid, the status of the IDF inside Gaza, and the language around guarantees beyond a 60-day ceasefire. Netanyahu has repeatedly said Hamas must be destroyed and the war won't end until all the hostages are released. Meanwhile, in Tel Aviv, families gathered outside the U.S. Embassy on the 4th of July, urging for both sides to make a deal.
We are in an historic window of opportunity. The leader who achieved a ceasefire with Iran can also deliver the deal of all deals in Gaza. This is our moment. The families are waiting. The 50 hostages are waiting. Please, please don't let this opportunity slip away.
Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes killed more than a dozen in Gaza yesterday, and new this afternoon, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation said 2 American aid workers have suffered non-life-threatening injuries in a grenade attack at a food distribution site. We're getting more details, but the U.S. and Israeli-backed organization said in a statement that they are in stable condition. President Trump said last week that he will be very firm with Benjamin Netanyahu and for the need for a speedy ceasefire when the pair meet next week. Mike.
Stephanie Bennett reporting live. Stephanie, thanks a lot. For more on this, let's bring in Fox News contributor and former CIA station chief Dan Hoffman. Dan, welcome.
Welcome. Good to see you.
So Hamas says it had a, quote, positive response to a 60-day ceasefire deal with Israel. What's your assessment of that?
I've spent most of my life working with my hands, fixing homes, remodeling kitchens, you name it.
Well, it's certainly possible that we'll get a 60-day ceasefire, Mike, but the long-term contentious issues remain. Hamas wants Israel out of Gaza. They want Israeli military to withdraw fully, and they want a permanent ceasefire. Israel has decapitated Hamas leadership and severely degraded Hamas military capabilities, but not to the point where I think Israel is comfortable leaving Gaza to its own devices. And beyond that, the larger question, the day after, what sort of a governing body takes over in Gaza? That is a key question, whether we can drive a wedge between irreconcilable Hamas terrorists and their supporters and the bulk of the civilian population, which has been suffering as a result of Hamas' brutal attack on Israel back on October 7, 2023.
President Trump met privately with the Saudi defense minister this week, which was kept very quiet. My colleague Lucas Tomlinson asked the president about that meeting last night. Let's play it.
They congratulated us on the incredible attack on Iran. It was an attack on something that you can't have, the nuclear facility. It's been proven now that it's been totally obliterated. If they wanted to start, they couldn't start that.
What's your read on a U.S.-Saudi meeting on Iran?
Well, look, we're in a critical time right now in our relationship in the Middle East, our relationships in the Middle East. And I'm sure that the president and the Saudi defense minister were discussing Gaza as well as Iran. The Saudi government has been very concerned about Iran's nuclear program, their support to proxy terrorists, as well as their ballistic missile program. The United States and Israel have done a lot to severely degrade Iran's military capabilities. The question is where we go from here. We're still waiting on the battle damage assessment, the disposition of the roughly 900 pounds of enriched uranium. And I'm sure we'll see that in the coming days. That will inform the Trump administration on future steps, including a negotiated deal with Iran. That's how we get to a long-term solution here, Mike. Even if Iran's program was set back a year or two, we want something permanent. That's going to take inspectors on the ground and a mistrust but verify strategy backed up by our intelligence community collection in close collaboration with our Israeli partners.
Prime Minister Netanyahu is traveling to Washington to visit the White House to meet with the president to talk about Iran and the Gaza ceasefire. What are your expectations, Dan?
Well, I think we're pretty well in lockstep with Israel. It's an extremely consequential meeting. It's a big deal for the Prime Minister to travel to the United States, and I expect the President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu to be discussing all of those issues that we just mentioned and discussing the way forward that would be serving U.S. national security interests as well as Israel's in the region.
Then there's Vladimir Putin viciously attacking Ukraine. The president sounds irritated with him. Lucas Tomlinson asked him about that. Let's play it.
Mr. President, Putin has not agreed to a ceasefire. Do you think he's mocking you?
No, I don't think he is. I think he's worried about sanctions. I do think he's very worried about sanctions. And, you know, we're determining that the Senate, as you know, has put in big sanctions, very big sanctions.
As a former Moscow station chief, what's your assessment?
Well, Vladimir Putin deliberately launched the largest air attack on Ukraine hours after speaking with President Trump. I think he did that to test the will of the United States. He also wants, for his own interest, to make it clear that Russia can stand on a level playing field with the United States, that the United States isn't the global superpower with the sort of influence that we would like to have, that maybe we aren't the most reliable ally for a partner like Ukraine in an existential fight for their independence against this barbaric Russian invasion. I think that's what's behind Vladimir Putin's bombing campaign, that as well as the fact that he'd like to topple the government in Ukraine and install a puppet regime. At stake here for the United States, it's not just Ukraine at the point of attack in Europe, defending Europe from a Russian onslaught. It's the $1 trillion worth of trade we enjoy with Europe. And if Russia were to cast a shadow over that by conquering Ukraine, we'd be in tough shape economically. So there are all sorts of reasons right now where I think the president is re-examining providing Ukraine with those Patriot air defense missiles and other military assistance, re-examining Senator Lindsey Graham's proposal for secondary sanctions on Russia, all the things we could do to make it more difficult for Russia to prosecute this war, potentially bring them to the negotiating table.
Always interesting analysis from Dan Hoffman. Dan, thanks very much.
There you have it, guys. Let me know your thoughts. You heard them talking about the conflict with Russia and how that is not de-escalated either. We're seeing that actually increase significantly. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think is the greatest threat right now to the United States? Now, of course, we've already heard that it's the unification of our adversaries coming together against the United States that is the greatest threat. But of them, which one is the most concerning to you? Iran, Russia, China, North Korea? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But you hear a lot of talk right now about peace in the Middle East, trying to bring some form of safety, peace, security right now, establish Abraham Accords. This is coming out today, July 5th, 2025. So a lot of talk concerning we cannot have Iran with nuclear weapons. We cannot have them threatening us. We can't have them receiving them from Russia or other nations. Let me know in the comments, who do you think is the biggest concern right now for the United States? Russia, China, Iran, or North Korea? Right now, the focus is on the Middle East, but there's also a lot of conflict taking place with Russia and Ukraine. And also, we're still hearing about China planning to launch war. They're saying by the year 2027, we will see, and we'll see if that gets pushed back now. Some speculating that they might just hold off until the Trump administration is over. When Trump leaves, then we might enter into war significantly. Let me know your thoughts. I'm seeing Iran, China popping up quite a bit, Iran as well in the comments. People are dropping in who they think is the most concerning right now for the United States. I'm seeing Lori saying China is the biggest threat. Lisa is saying Russia. William is saying Pakistan. Patty is saying our own U.S. government. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't done so yet, if you appreciate the live updates, take a second and hit that like button for me. Now, also, as I mentioned, we're also hearing that there was individuals that were hit today by Hamas at a Gaza site. So the question is, do you think that these groups in the Middle East, can they be trusted? Hamas, backed by Iran, financially supported, proxy group of Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, all of these different ones, the Houthis, can they be trusted? Do you think that we will be able to have peace, or do you think they're going to claim peace but then still try to attack us, as we've heard the warnings coming out, even just as of yesterday, of lone wolf attacks and sleeper cell attacks of Iranian-backed groups in the United States? Let me know, war or peace. What is your thoughts? Drop them in the comments. Hit that like button for me if you appreciate the updates, and subscribe to stay up to date. Whatever comes out on this, I'll be sure to keep you up to speed here on the channel so you know exactly what is going on. But that is why we are hearing that in the last 24 hours, there have been secret meetings that are being led by the United States to try to reestablish the Abraham Accords, bring peace and safety to the Middle East, stop the conflict, the war, and the potential of nuclear attacks and attacks on U.S. and Israeli individuals. Let's take a look at the headlines with me again. Trump met with Saudi defense minister in a secret meeting to de-escalate, according to reports. Here's another one. Peace can be achieved in the Middle East by committing to Abraham's legacy, rejecting terror, Jews, Muslims, Christians. They must commit to Abraham's legacy in unification. Rabbi behind the Abraham Accords. Trump key to Israel-Syria peace. And also today, as I mentioned, the question is, can Iran still be trusted? 2 U.S. aid workers injured in a Hamas-led Gaza terror attack at food distribution centers. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, also, I will continue to keep you up to date on everything as we're hearing the big, beautiful bill has been signed into law. A lot of tax benefits are going to be pouring in for Americans. I've covered it in detail for you, and I'll be continuing to keep you up to speed on everything. And we're hearing Social Security. This is huge. I'll go ahead and do more updates on Social Security for you as well. They're saying about 90% of individuals that collect Social Security, your taxes, taxation on your benefits have been wiped out entirely. So a lot to stay up on. I'll be sure to keep you up to speed here on the channel. That is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.